Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. It is 4 o'clock, and this is the regular business meeting of the Jefferson Public Utility District Board of Commissioners. My name is Jeff Randall. I am president of the board, and I am calling this meeting to order. Jefferson PUD will be offering both virtual online meetings as well as in-person meetings unless advance notice is provided. Online participant audio will be muted upon entry. Please unmute at the appropriate time to speak, and if you're calling in, use *6 to mute and unmute and *9 to raise a hand to request to speak. Let's do a roll call of commissioners. My name is Jeff Randall. I am commissioner for District 1 and president of the board.
Kenneth Collins, Commissioner District 2.
Dan Tupper, Commissioner for District 3.
Okay, we have a rather lengthy agenda. Do we have any changes to it? If not, can I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of the agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay, so it looks like the first item we have is public comment for things not on the agenda. The public comment period allows members of the public to comment, limited to 3 minutes each, on any items not specifically listed on the agenda or for items listed on the consent agenda. Prior to any public comment, members of the public must first be recognized by the president and are not permitted to disrupt, disturb, or otherwise impede the orderly conduct and fair progress of the commission's meeting. After an initial warning by the president, individuals who intentionally violate these guidelines through actual disruption of the commission meeting will be dropped from the meeting. Do we have anyone in the room or anyone online who would like to make comments on things not on the agenda or on the consent agenda? And I see a hand. Ken, would you mind recognizing people in the room?
Please go ahead.
My name is Deirdre Braddock. I live in the 83 district, I guess is what it is. I'm actually, I don't know if it's on the agenda or not, but I was going to address the, how to explain this. The idea that we're going to be charged every other month or every month, if you split it basically down the middle, for people to come, someone to come and read the meter.
Yeah.
It is on the agenda.
Okay.
Any other folks who want to comment on things not on the agenda or on consent agenda? Anybody in the room, Ken?
No, there's only guest.
Okay. So we're gonna move on then. So the next item is the general manager and staff reports.
Okay, we have several staff reports. President, we're going to start with Jose on a couple of water items.
Okay.
So tonight we are going to be shutting down the boosted side of Calipoint to be able to cut in some isolation valves. The shut off will be from 9 p.m. tonight to 3 a.m. tomorrow morning, the scheduled shutdown. Everybody's been notified. Robocall has gone out. Fire department knows, and worst case scenario, those are the times that it should be shut down. Also, last Friday we had natural resources class for Chimicum come in and do a tour of our water and wastewater facilities. We started at Sparling, about 45 students. Myself, Jameson Hahn, Joey, Markle, Eric Story, and Sam Harper, and Commissioner Tupper was there. Big thank you to them. They all did fantastic. It was great to see the kids engage and ask questions about resources locally.
Cool.
Next, Will's going to give us a couple updates with regard to broadband and our grant applications.
So I sent out a letter to the commissioners. We're looking at changing a program for how we're going to be instructing and connecting registrants to our adjacent the areas that are adjacent to our grant-funded projects that are currently under construction. In those areas, we asked registrants to pay $750 and that we would connect them and build to them during the same time we built to the funded areas. When we first came up with that program, there was no funding to cover those folks. That's why they were left out of the grant projects. Their areas were deemed served with broadband by the state of Washington, the federal government. Last year, with the announcement of the BEAD award, those areas were deemed underserved and eligible for BEAD funding. Over the course of a year, we applied for and finally received provisional award of BEAD funds to build to those areas. With that BEAD funding in hand, we would like to contact those customers and let them know that we want to change the program and construct all those areas using that award funding. Go ahead, Ken.
What was the amount of the grant?
$6.4 million. Commissioner Tupper.
So assuming that BEAD moves forward and the monies get appropriated out, do we want to make promises to people before we know how this is really going to play out on the far as the 750? Because I've still never been very clear that the 750 was an accurate and equitable number to begin with. And then if we say we're not going to do that and then find out, because are we going to get totally reimbursed for BEAD for every passing that we make that we deem is eligible for BEAD, or do we have to come up with some of our own money? It is not clear to me who's paying for what under BEAD at the end of the day to go fiber to the home with everybody that we've put on the list.
So the BEAD funding will pay for all of the construction to the customers. The only thing that we took out of the BEAD funding was some of the project management that we've contracted out in all of our previous grants, and we're planning to bring that in-house for the BEAD project. With our previous and current grants, we're building hundreds of miles to a large area. For our BEAD grant, we're using that fiber that we've already built out and then doing small taps to neighborhoods and customers. So it won't be quite the level of lift that we've had before. And we'll have had a few years under our belt to manage that. But BEAD pays for everything. The issue is that the $750 charge does not cover all of the costs. That was the cost that we determined to be a fair co-pay into the project that allows the customer an accessible way to join. It allows us to regain some of the money from the monthly revenue over time. And also the construction costs are a lot lower when we're building out for a larger grant area. As far as the provisional nature of the award, we should find out in December whether that's going to move to contract. I can tell you that it's already been through a couple of rounds of review at the NTIA, and because we were so low on our passing costs, we've not received any pushback. Other areas have had additional justifications or gone under additional review, not. So I'm feeling fairly confident at this point. The issue with letting the customers know is because all of construction is beginning to all of their neighbors around them and to down the main line right past their homes. And I need to give them some idea of what's coming forward. So if in fact BEAD did not come to pass, we would be able to revert back to the existing program. But for now, the main message is we're going to take a pause and we're going to wait and see on the construction. And if we do come under contract, we will refund any of the $750 payments, and there will be no $750 copay going forward for the adjacent areas.
So would some people have the option of paying the $750 and getting installation sooner?
No. So if we were to do that, that would immediately take away our ability to reimburse the construction costs through BEAD, and it would just make too many one-offs. So we have to treat it as a body. Yeah,
So-
that's going to be a common question, and that's going to be, I think, the majority of unhappy feedback is folks who would gladly pay $750 or more to be connected today, but we can't. We need to stay systematic.
So you used the term bring the work in-house. So does that mean that we would still be using BEAD money to pay our own people for that work? Or what is the ultimate out-of-pocket cost under BEAD for the PUD?
I haven't calculated that, Dan. For our electric side, and even for water, we do most of the project management in-house. Because it's been a startup with the broadband and we haven't had staff up until date, we haven't had internal staff to be able to handle those tasks. So I can
think-
a total cost, but we still would pay for like our staff's installation of the fiber into the house. That still gets reimbursed. But project management would just be part of our regular duties.
Well, I think before I could sign off on BEAD, I would want some numbers. I would want to know what the utilities dollar amount invested into this BEAD work would be.
And I guess my feedback on this, Will, is similar to Dan's in that whatever we communicate to the customer is, qualifying it. And I think what you're trying to do is you're trying to keep things moving.
Yep.
You're trying to let people know that the 750 may not be necessary. And if we get the BEAD funding, anybody who's paid it is going to be reimbursed, but, saying that we've been provisionally approved and explaining what that means. And I think just keeping them in the loop, but letting them know it's not a for sure thing yet. We're moving towards it. Because same thing, it sounds like the BEAD funding may or may not be here. It's encouraging to hear that ours is a less expensive one and is not drawing as much scrutiny as others, but I appreciate the update.
Yeah, but the main thing is that we are telling them we're pausing any development on their construction. So,
Because they're in an award area, so that totally makes sense.
yep. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
please
Thanks.
continue.
Yeah, if I could just summarize what I heard in Will's update is timing is not the good news here, but there is good news. There's essentially a win-win where the customer will have to pay less money for their fiber service, and the utility is exposed to less risk of subsidizing that cost. So, yeah, I see more good than bad here. So it's going to be a challenge to convey this extra transparency given the complexities. But at the end of the day, it does seem like a win for our customers that we were able to provisionally win another grant. So,
Right. Well, I mean, it sounds like we're going to get more people hooked up, so I think that's also a big good news.
at a lower cost. Yeah,
Yep.
just maybe on the schedule that they had initially hoped. Okay, Jennifer is going to give us an update on our CIP, and then she's going to tell us what CIP stands for too.
Speaking this comment. Well, since Marrowstone Island falls into that category with a lot of adjacent areas, you might want to get on the MICA calendar to talk to people directly.
I asked to get on in November, but I think they postponed the November meeting, so I'll be there in December.
Great.
Yep.
I'm Jennifer Deerseth. I'm the customer service manager. Thank you, Jose. The Clean Energy Implementation Plan, which is required through CETA, the Clean Energy Transformation Act, is well underway. So Jean has been the lead on this. And she has tasked us with going out into the community and getting to know what people want with our clean energy implementation plan. So we went out last week, me and Kyle Chase, to the library in Port Hadlock. We went out to the community centers in Port Townsend and in Quilcene. We got some really great discussion on the topic. We had a few surveys filled out. We're working on getting more as the time goes by. I think it closes November 4th. Jameson has a publication in the Leader, I believe, on the website. And we're just really looking at getting that good community feedback so we can move forward with that for you guys. I think we'll have something on the agenda next month. So are there any questions?
Thanks, Jennifer. So I just in summary, the state recognizes that clean energy transformation is going to impose costs and create potential energy burdens for customers. And so Jennifer's team is trying to understand and characterize those situations for our customers to help inform those decisions. So very, very much appreciation to our customer service team for engaging our community in that way. And that moves us to Mike with a surprise update for the board. Last board meeting, we talked about several commissioners expressed an interest in understanding the current budget position of the utility. And so Mike scrambled to put together a presentation on our quarterly budget and actuals. So he'll take the floor.
Yeah, so after the budget hearing, I did throw this together just to kind of give an update to the commissioners where we're at on the 2025. So, and we're going to start doing this on a more regular basis. So just wanted to kind of a history of where we're at right now. We're 8 months through 2025. So we're looking at the actuals through August, budget numbers for September through December. We had the change in general manager in August, which is kind of changing a few things here as we go through, reworking a few things, which is reviewing our capital and operating expenses. So it's going to kind of have a change in how the budget actually looks for 25. But we've been trying to maintain our status quo as much as possible through it. So looking at the utility actuals year to date, we're 31 million in revenues for electric. Our operating expenses are 27.7 million. So we got 3.4 million in net operating margins. Our non-operating margins are 2.1. So our net margins are 5.6 million. Our times interest earned ratio and our debt service coverage are both up there well above the normal for the requirements of which of 1.25 and 1.11. So we're meeting our loan covenants on both of those. Water, we're at 3.1 million in revenues, 2.8 million in operating expenses. So we've made on operating side of things 255,000. We've got non-operating margins of 118,000. So a total of net margins of 374,000. Broadband, we're at 273,000 in revenues, 1.7 million in operating expenses. So we've lost 1.5 million there, but we've got 2.3 million in non-operating margins. So overall, we've made 851. When you look at the combined, we're 34.5 million in revenues, 32.3 in operating expenses. So we've made 2.1 million. Our non-operating margins are 4.6. So we're 6.8 million that we've made for the year that we've either have reinvested into the utility or put into reserves. So how we've done on the electric budgets to actuals, this kind of shows you we budgeted 33 million through the end of August. We're at 31 million, so we're 2.3 million under budget, which is a difference of 7.45%. Operating margins were below what we budgeted for on our actuals of 1.1 million. So we've saved it's a difference of about 4%, which is when you look at our operating margins between the lower revenues, the lower expenses, we've not made as much money. So we're short there about 1.2 million, which is almost 35% under budget. But as far as our non-operating margins, we have done better between the non-operating margins. We've done better. So we're 1.1 or almost 50% on those. That's just ATIC construction and things that have come in, more jobs, more projects coming in, people paying more to get more done on that. So our net margins were actually pretty close to being on budget between the savings and expenses, the less revenue, and the more in the non-operating margins. So we're almost right on budget at 5.6. We're just 73,000 below that. So looking at the ratios there, we're almost right on target with the ratios that we had for the budget to actuals through the end of August. Looking at our water budgets to actuals now, we're actually pretty close on operating revenues. We're a little low on the actual revenues, 144,000 below budget or 4.5% under budget. Operating expenses were under budget at about 325,000, which puts us over our budgeted operating margins by 180,000. And then our non-operating margins were below budget by 115,000. Just project, not as many people connecting, paying age of construction. Not all the tax money has come in yet because they can pay it over 2 portions. So that's where some of that money's coming in. But looking at our net margins between everything, we're actually a little over budget there at 65,000, about 17,000 over budget. Looking at the broadband budget to actuals, we're 341,000 below budget. And our operating revenues were 241,000 over on our operating expenses. Net margins, we are 583,000 below where we expected to be. And then even on the non-operating margins, haven't hit as many with the reimbursement. So we're 3.5 million below what we thought we would be on that. So overall, we're about $4 million below what we thought we would be on margins on that. So just looking at the projected year end so these are based on actuals through August and then budgeted numbers for September through December. We should be about $46 million in revenues for electric, 4.8 for water, and 611,000 for broadband. Total revenues should be about just under $52 million as a combined utility. Looking at the expenses, we're 43 million on electric, 4.6 on water, 2.3 on broadband. So a total of a little over $50 million in total operating expenses. Net operating margins as a combined utility should be about $1.7 million. Our net operating margins, this is all the grants, aid to construction, taxes and everything. As a combined utility, we should be about $11.5 million coming in. So by the end of the year, we should have made about $13 million. And we should still meet our tier and our debt service coverage without any issues. So looking at how are we going to do with the projected actuals to the budget, for looking at electric, we're going to be about $2.3 million under budgeted revenues, about $1.1 million under operating expenses. So our net operating margins, we're going to be about 1.2 below what we budgeted, but our non-operating margins were about 1.1. So we kind of make it up, and we're going to be about right on target for our budgeted margins for the electric side of things, and be right about on budget for the tier and our debt service coverage. I'm looking at the water project actuals to budget. We're going to be almost right on target for our budget for our revenues, 144,000 just under budgeted revenues. We're going to be under our budgeted operating revenues by about 325,000. Our net operating margins are going to be a little bit over what we had planned by 180,000. And our net operating margins, we look like they're going to come in just a little bit below what we wanted to, but the net margins are going to be right about on. So overall, we're pretty close to being right on budget for water as well. Looking at the broadband projected actuals to budget, this one we're going to be well underneath our budgeted revenues, just not getting the connections when we expected them and thought they would get there. Operating expenses were pretty well right on target with those, a little bit over. So our operating margins are going to be about $500,000 below where we thought they would be. And going to be a little bit shy on the non-operating margins. That is just projected. It depends on of about $3.5 million, but that could change as we get some reimbursements and stuff as we work on these other projects coming in. So we're about $4 million under budget on our net margins for broadband with everything. Did you have
And that could change significantly.
That could change significantly.
Reimbursement comes in.
Yep.
As it's supposed.
Correct. yeah, these could change. These are just projected numbers out for the last 4 months, and they could change over time. So this is just kind of looking at our cash flow where we're at right now. We've got funds from operations of 11.6 million. This is through August. We had a decrease in operating assets of 2.9 million, and we spent about 4.9 million in operating liabilities. So our total cash from operating activities is 9.6 million. We've had investments of that we've invested about 6.5 million. 2.3 million on that, and I'll get to you in just a second, Jeff. So cash from all of our activities, we've only put about 817,000 in the bank, but we've spent a lot investing in the utility and paying on our debt.
You ready for my question, Mike?
Yeah.
So when you say cash on hand, is this unrestricted cash?
Yes, this is unrestricted cash.
Okay, that was my question.
Okay. Yeah, this is just looking at the unrestricted cash that we are able to use for investments and stuff and paying down debt.
Thank you.
Then just kind of giving you an idea of where and how we've spent expenses over through the first 8 months. You can see that purchase power is the 10.9 million 8 months, about 5.6 million in labor and related costs there. And then the depreciation, which is basically non-cash, is 4.4 million. So just kind of showing where and how we're spending the money. The electric side here, looking at the water side, again, labor and related costs are one of our big ones, and as along with depreciation are our two biggest expenses on that side. You should be on, there you go, Dan.
Could you back up one slide, Mike? That gray slice, is that consultants for $865,000?
Yes, that's consultants, legal counsel, outside services for 865,000.
What was the budgeted amount for that?
I don't have that right offhand, Dan. I can get that to the commissioners. I don't have that actual for the consultants, what we budgeted
Okay.
for.
Okay, thanks.
I'm going back. So yeah, so there's the water one. Looking at the broadband expenses, our labor and related costs are one of the biggest costs that we have right now in the broadband. And then it's just all the other expenses, ones I couldn't fit in, trying to fit into a category. So that's just a catch-all. And then that's the end of the update.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions for Mike? Ken?
Yeah, it would be nice if you could take that brown slice and show us, because that's not an insignificant amount of money. Break that down.
Okay.
into different categories.
But yeah, Mike, we appreciate it that we approve the budget, and I'm sure as you've done in the past in January or February, whenever you close out the books on the year, you'll probably give us another report on kind of the year end, how we ended up. But thank you very much. Dan?
1 second, Dan.
So crystal ball time. The last quarter of the year here, I don't know if we've looked at the long-term weather forecast and what our year over year for the past couple years of revenues have been in the October, November, December timeframe. Since we're already behind on the electric side in revenues, is anyone taking a look to see if maybe we're going to lose some more ground between now and the end of the year?
No, I have not, Dan. I have not looked at it.
Just something to think about.
Okay, Joe, are we done with the manager and staff reports?
Yeah, we're going to save any additional reports we had for the next meeting. So we'll complete management reports.
Okay, so let's see. Commissioner reports. And I realized I did not prepare one. I've been driving all day to get here. Who would like to go? Ken?
Ken said he will, or he is, or want me to?
Go ahead.
All right.
Then I will.
Okay, I'll go ahead and go. So I attended the Noanet Waputa Telecom meetings on October 7th. Attended the second day of the water workshop on, or excuse me, was it water workshop? No, that should have said telecom workshop on October 8th. Met with Joe Wilson on October 13th. I introduced him to Gary Rowe, who is on the Public Works Board, and a former member of our Citizen Advisory Board. So him and Joe got to meet for about an hour and discuss Public Works Board and some of the local goings on here over the past couple years. I attended the Waputa Budget Committee meeting on October 16th. The committee approved the draft budget that will be moved forward for discussion and possible adoption at the Waputa Board of Directors meeting in November. I accompanied PUD staff, as Jose talked about earlier, on a tour of our Sparling Well facility and the Port Hadlock sewer facility with a large group of Chimcom High School students. And that was kind of fun. Great day. Weather was good. So it was really, everybody had a good time. The students were really engaged. Thanks to Eric Story, Jameson Hahn, Jose Escalera, Joey Burke over there, our employee over at the sewer plant, and Jefferson County Engineer Samantha Harper for their efforts in informing the high school students about potable water and wastewater services here in our service area and about maybe some potential job opportunities for them in the future. So it was a good day all around. I was curious, Ken, if you had a chance to look at that supportive BPA handout that I gave you at the last meeting, that informs the public about, the hydro system and, how open and accurate conversations are important to preserving our power that we get from BPA. Did you get a chance to look at that?
I did.
Is that something that we could reference on our website and get people to take a look and hear our side of the story?
I don't feel strongly about it one way or the other. There is in the newspaper, depending on what newspaper you look at, a fair amount of discussion and representation on both sides of the question.
Yeah, since this was supported by NWPPA and PPC, which we pay dues to, we belong to, we obviously take power from BPA. It seemed to me that they'd gone to the trouble and the money to produce that's something that we should point, our customers towards. So again, just something I'm curious about, whether that's something we could put that link in our website.
I guess I would rather not. It feels like it's taking one side of the issue in the litigation, and we're not direct parties to the litigation. It gets us involved in the whole agreement going away. It just brings up a lot of, it's going on anyway. I would rather that we not be part of broadcasting the debate or taking a position on it. It is what it is, and this stuff will be decided in the courts. It's not something that's really decided in the court of public opinion, and that feels like what they're trying to do. So,
well, there's long-term implications for us as power purchasers from BPA. So just want to make sure that our customers are well informed. And so I guess if Ken doesn't have any thoughts on it, we'll move along. Let's see, I'm going to attend, obviously I'm in Tri-Cities right now for the Energy Northwest meetings on October 22nd and 23rd. I won't be staying for the Energy Symposium or whatever they're calling it. I have to be home Friday for an appointment. I'll meet with Joe Wilson on October 27th And also that same day, meet with State Senator Mike Chapman and Steve Theringer. They're supposed to be showing up at our digs there somewhere. And so I will try and make that. And I plan on listening in on the WAPAG meeting on October 30th. And that concludes my report.
Okay, I did find my notes, and since you brought up that meeting with Senator Chapman and Representative Theringer, we got an email from Shannon. Has staff decided whether that's going to be a special meeting, or have you discussed that one yet?
I think staff is still discussing it, but it nominally looks like it needs to be a noticed meeting.
Yeah, it seems like the safe thing, because we're probably going to talk about the PUD, and you'll have at least 2 commissioners there, and then we can just talk about whatever we need to talk about. Okay.
So should we go ahead and notice it then, Jeff? Is that a decision?
I think so. Any objections to that? I don't see any downsides to it. Okay.
Okay,
And
done.
very well may be of interest to members of the public. Okay, so back to my notes. Bear with me for a second. So I also attended the NOAANET board meeting. Broadlink is now a new member. Let's see. There was some discussion about Bigfoot, the LLC of the Colville tribe, their communications LLC coming on board as a NOAANET member also. They have agreed to waive their tribal sovereign immunity and make any disputes subject to the Washington courts, not tribal courts. And that may come up for a member vote at the November NOAANET meeting. And there were a couple more questions referred to the NOAANET attorney, but so that's continuing. Then also attended the Waputa Telecom Symposium, which NOAANET was also present for. And it's occurred to me that that NOAANET is now offering retail ISP services, and they're basically doing on any public fiber system that they can gain access to, where the hosts are happy to sell them wholesale access services. And it's really occurred to me that I think it's going to be a pretty big part of their future and their growth. And we're busy developing our own retail ISP at the local level. And to me, that just creates so much synergy with what NOAANET's doing. We're doing the same thing. They're doing it on a regional level in local communities. We're doing it in our own local community. And it just, and it's ironic because not that long ago, they were poo-pooing at NOAANET, folks doing retail and the different PUDs. So I think they're seeing merit in what we're doing. They're seeing market opportunities with all the publicly owned fiber out there, and they're pursuing their own model. And I think we should pay attention and learn from what they're doing and how they progress. Let's see. There were some updates on the BEAD stuff as we talked about. Was there a question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
This has been a chronic issue with NOAANET. Do you have any sense as to how they're projecting their viability going forward?
Oh, definitely. And I'm sorry, I don't have any firm numbers to present tonight. And Dan may remember this too, because he's been at several of the meetings. It seems like their viability is strong through like 2030. And then it became kind of questionable after 2030 where their growth and future revenues would come. And they're seeing many of the markets that they've been involved in as becoming more competitive and downward price pressures and cell tower and backhaul. I mean, I'm going to get the terms wrong. And if Curtis was here, he could say things more accurately, and Dan might be able to also. And they haven't come out and said it. I think they're being cautious on the retail side, but as I look at their budgets and I look at where they're investing money and time, they're investing in Chelan on their grid, on their fiber network. They're talking to Douglas, and now they're talking to Grant, and they're talking to Mason 3 PUD, who is now giving up their own locally owned retail services because NOAANET's going to provide it. So I think they're just looking at all the public fiber out there thinking, gee, there's private ISPs out there, but they're becoming more consolidated and international. Why don't we provide a publicly owned retail ISP option? And So they are indicating that there will be challenges after 2030, and they're not stating it that this is the savior, but I think they're looking at more partners and more integrated models like Broadlink coming in and buying more services from NOAANET, Mason, PUD3, these other PUDs engaging with NOAANET to provide services on their networks as revenue growth opportunities. I don't know, Dan, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that's pretty accurate there. Like you said, I think they're holding their cards close to the vest for the moment. They don't want to let any cats out of any bags about maybe potential revenue streams down the road. I don't know how much federal money will be available, so I think that's probably something they're watching, tracking is where they can look at going after some federal money to help build some revenue streams. Be my guess.
And they're also, because of past failures when they have put items in budgets that were planned collaborative efforts and then they fell through, they're not putting money in their budgets until they've got signed contracts with different entities. So their budgets are a little conservative, I would say, especially for like next year. Let's see, so back to my report. Sorry, just kind of scanning real quick here for anything interesting. I just thought the telecom conference was great, and I hope Wapuda and NOAANET and we continue to stay involved because it's just so amazing how things are happening so quickly. And I think, and kudos to Will and all of us too for having Jefferson PUD be in the position to get the funding when we did, because broadband funding was available and now it's like it's disappearing again. So it's like we were so fortunate to be positioned to be able to get it when we did. Let's see, scanning down. So I'm here today. I'll be at the Energy Northwest board meetings tomorrow as an observer. Dan's our rep. I'll be at the Public Power Forum on the 23rd, and then I'll be participating in that October 27th meeting with Senator Chapman and Representative Theringer, and that is my report. Okay, back to the agenda. So I think consent agenda is next. Did we have any changes to the consent agenda?
I've not done my report.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ken. I thought you went first. I
Nope.
apologize. Please go ahead.
Some question as to whether I would or Dan would, and I deferred to Dan.
And you got lost.
So on the 7th, I met with the general manager, again, met with him on the 13th. Had a meeting with legal counsel on the 17th. Met again with the general manager on the 20th. I anticipate on the 27th, again, meeting with the general manager and attending the meeting with Representatives Chapman and Theringer. And then on the 3rd, just prior to our next PUD meeting, I'll again meet with the general manager. So there's some redundancy there.
All right, so is that your complete report?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you, Ken. All right, so we have consent agenda next. Are there any objections to the consent agenda, or can I have motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion is second to approve the consent agenda. Please indicate by saying aye your approval of it.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, consent agenda is approved. Unfinished business. Okay, now we are at the opt-out discussion. Joe, would you like to take this one? Start us off?
Sure. So I think we have public comment. Oh, sorry, I'll just raise the resolution.
Maybe just catch us up with where we are, and then we'll go for Commissioner, any clarifying questions, and then we can take some public comment.
So I believe it was about a month ago, the commissioners extended the time frame that this alternative resolution. So I'll just give a quick history as I understand it. So prior to my coming on board, there was a scope of work included in the electric cost of service study to, with AMI deployed, there was an opportunity to take a placeholder cost that was nominated back in the day of $5 for customers that chose to opt out unless they were low income. In which case, I believe the cost was $0 to have a meter reader visit their meter on a monthly basis and process it the way that we would have done it before advanced meters came out. So I believe that decision was made back in about 2019. The work to install the advanced meter infrastructure is largely done, and most customers are having their meters read that way. So now we have information about how much it costs to support the approximately 460 meters that are still being requested to be manually read. So the consultant took those direct costs and used typical cost of service analysis to come up with a rate that was about $28 per month to continue offering that service. Commissioners asked staff to come up with an alternative that could be more regarded as more affordable. And so staff developed an alternative to that, which was to estimate, so visit the meters at about half the frequency that was previously being done, so every other month, and have the alternate months be estimated, so we'd still be issuing a monthly bill. And so that is the proposal on the table. The somewhat different revision in this particular version of the proposed resolution is that those estimated meter reads would begin upon the time that the commissioners approve the resolution, but the costs wouldn't be implemented until the rate period of beginning in July 1 of 2026. And the estimated cost based on the cost of service and the frequency being half would be $15 per month for opt-out. And that there wouldn't be a discount for customers that have income constraints, and the estimating algorithm that we have doesn't work for solar net meters. So folks who are taking advantage of the of selling their solar net energy back into the system wouldn't be eligible for the opt-out. So that's the resolution that we have on the table for consideration.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start. Do commissioners have any clarifying questions at this point?
Yeah, on the low income, again, I think I asked this last time, but I'll ask it again. So my understanding in July, if this was to all take effect, that the low income people would pay the same $15, is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct.
I think I probably have some problem with that, so we can have discussion on that, I guess, at some point.
Yeah, and we'll have discussion after all the public comment. Ken, do you have any clarifying questions at this point?
No, I do not.
I have a couple. So Joe, what kinds of meters are we using as opt-out meters? Are we using an analog meter, or are we using the new AMI meters with the comms turned off, or are we using a mix of the two?
There's a mix of the three essentially. So there's, well, as far as I know, we're not deploying any of our advanced meters with the radios today. That would be a reasonable consideration in the future if we run out of the current inventory of electronic meters that don't have an antenna or don't have a radio function in them now. That's the ones we're using today for new opt-outs. And then there's some electromechanical meters that weren't replaced during the initial deployment. So I would say the majority is those, and then there's electronic meters that don't have radios in them that are being used for opt-out. I just wanted to clarify, there's some understanding, I suppose, by customers that they get to choose what meter format or what the build of their meter is, and that is not, as my understanding, an offering of the utility. So we have a legal obligation to deploy meters that meet accuracy requirements, and I'm not aware that I could go out and buy electromechanical meters that meet our requirements today. So if as those fail, and they do fail, they're being replaced by the inventory that we have.
Okay. And then the meter readers that we're anticipating using for these every other month read, and I'm trying to remember, do we have like 3 cycles of billings and meter readings? Is that how we do it?
Jennifer is indicating we have 4.
Four cycles. So the person, and I realize that even with the AMI, we're not able to have all the meters report automatically because some of them aren't able to mesh with the network, and we have to send somebody out there to get closer to them and then download them somehow electronically. Is that correct?
We're still tuning the existing AMI network and varying antenna heights and filling in some dead spots, which is typical of an AMI deployment. You deploy it based on a model, then you understand what the coverage is, and then you fill in some gaps. So that effort is still ongoing. So we're still tightening up the last 3 or 4% for connectivity of the AMI system.
Okay. Are we expecting to get to 100% on those, or is it reasonable to expect that we'll always have some that we have to go out and get somebody in a car closer to get the data?
It is feasible that we'll have a non-human means of reading all the meters.
Feasible. Okay. And then that person who's going out and collecting those non-reads now, are they also doing the manual reads for us?
Yes.
Okay. And then I guess lastly, I meant to do this, and this is my fault. I didn't follow up with customer service, but I wanted to get a better understanding of why our system, if it's possible to explain it to me and to us now that we're all together, why our system isn't able to average for the solar customers. Is Jen in the room there?
Yeah, so I reached out to NISC and asked specifically, even if the system is set to estimate, it will not for those solar meters because of the complication with the banks. And I can only assume why NISC has it set that way, but it will not read no matter what.
Okay, so basically you've got it. NISC has a built-in tool for estimating a customer's read, so it gives you this option of every other month actual reads. But when it comes to the solar meters, which have 2 reads, power purchased from the utility and power sold back for the utility, the function that they've created, it doesn't work. Okay.
Will not do it. I put in the ticket, it won't do it.
Okay, so literally if we were gonna average for the solar customers, we'd have to do some sort of manual thing.
Create more costs.
Okay. All right, I think that's the extent of my questions right now. So I guess I would like to go to comment, and I know we have at least one person in the room, but maybe I'll let Ken go to people in the room. And Ken, do you have the ability to do a timer to let people know when they're getting close to their 3 minutes?
Yes.
And I can try and take over when we get to the Zoom folks with Shannon's help.
So typically we allow 3 minutes per person. And please go ahead.
Well, hearing your budget makes me a little guilty about bringing all this up right now. I was fitting this out and it came out to 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So I think what I'm gonna do is just show you a picture, because this is gonna cover it, basically, if my computer cooperates. Close it and open it again. It is extremely easy for me to go out and take a picture of the meter. I'm an opt-out customer. That is 1 minute of my time. I can do it every month, every other month, whatever. And that saves me the cost, $15 a month, it's $180 a year. And it saves the gas and the maintenance and the truck and the labor and all that kind of stuff that you have to have in order to send somebody out to my little property down in Oak Bay. So I'm here to advocate for picture taking. I'm not sure that everybody would want to do that. And I think some people might even say, hey, I'll pay the $15. Or, hey, I'll just take the regular meter that you guys are putting out that reads with radio frequencies. So I don't know if it's possible to separate those of us who want to opt out and take a picture from those people who would rather just everybody just keep coming out as usual. If that's possible, I would love to do this. And I know maybe other people would too. Save $15, take a minute of your time. It's so simple. I don't know if there's even any room for this to work for customers like me, or if the decision's kind of already made, you kind of got to do it as a group thing. It's either all in or all out. I don't know. But I'm here representing the picture taking possibility.
Thank you. I think we should wait until all of the members of the public who wish to comment have commented, and then I'd like to hear staff response.
Is there anybody else in the room there, Ken?
No,
Okay, then I see Annette Hinkie has her hand up. So Shannon, I don't know if you can let Annette in and we'll start the timer when she can start talking. Looks like you're unmuted, Annette, so why don't you give it a shot?
I will. I was
Hear ya.
waiting for the video to start up. Annette Henke, District 1. Wow, so some of what has just been spoken has kind of put me off my comment. I just feel the need to let General Manager Wilson know that the opt-out that was agreed upon in 2020 or 2019, whenever it was created, did specify that the opt-out meters were electromechanical, which were confidently within 2% of the accuracy required by the leading registrars of accuracy, whose names aren't occurring to me right now. That was electromechanical. The customers also had a choice of a digital that did not transmit, had to be read. So those two are the options that we are supposed to have on our homes at this moment in time. I'm just so distressed at the millions and millions and tens of millions of dollars this PUD is spending on things that work, things that don't work, and they are just OCD about this little piddly group of 486 people that are only paying $5 that really should cost $28, which is an exaggerated amount. I mean, this is, I can't believe that you people aren't embarrassed by this, to make this fuss. And I'm talking about, I should be speaking to Kevin Street if he was here, but the emphasis is being drugged forward from this new administration, the new general staff. This is, it's unreasonable. This level of scrutiny is absolutely not called for. I'm just going to hit some high spots since I was put off my game by this, but what does a manual read from the Fort Townsend Free Press? Anna Wolpen and I worked an article together. The costs that FCS came up with, fine. Again, if you're going to let them do this for the opt-out program, please have them do this for broadband. Please, I mean, let's do that. And then let's raise the cost to the opt-out people. But until then, you know, really, you're wetting your pants over this. This is so crazy. Opt-out customers are singled out for scrutiny. What about the smart meters that are currently requiring manual reads? You act like that's a no big thing. And General Manager Wilson, I would love to have a chat with you in a year and see if all of these meters are reporting, because the the propaganda, or it is propaganda. The propagation study that Itron did in 2014 showed that these.
Annette, pardon me, your time is up. Your time is up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Ken.
Okay, And I can't see any other hands online. Are there any other folks online who'd like to make a public comment at this time? Shannon, are you seeing anybody else?
No,
Okay. Commissioner deliberation. Who would like to go first? And I guess staff would, I don't know, would staff like to respond to any of the comments made at this point?
Yeah, I'd be happy to respond on a couple of points. The concept, we discussed the concept of taking pictures of meters at the last, well, sorry, it was two Board of Commissioner meetings ago, I believe, last month or so. The UD use, as we just talked about with the solar meters, we do not customize our own billing system. We enjoy the benefits of buying off-the-shelf tools and software. It saves our customers a lot of money in not customizing tools for doing this kind of work. We do not have tools to process pictures. The notion that it would be simple and straightforward for the utility to implement that is not founded in the fact that any other utility besides Snohomish PUD, who doesn't have their AMI system deployed yet, but has been using that technique for a while. The largest utility in the state is the only utility in the state that I'm aware of that offers that. So it's just not fair to our staff or to reality that our utility or any other utility in the state would have that capacity built in as a service, and that it could be done for nominal or de minimis cost. There was a comment about driving time, and appreciate that one coming up. I was just doing a little homework on if we had all of the MAM meters being read, which is noted that there's a few percent that are not through the current system. But when that gap is closed, the effort that it will take to visit all of the opt-out population that we currently have, about 460 meters, would require driving approximately 300 miles around our service territory. I guess my time's up too.
Please,
I'll take that as a hint to stop staff comments and try to answer any other questions that come up.
okay. Commissioners, do you want to go ahead and share your thoughts? Start the deliberation process here.
Well, I guess I'll go first. And so, I start by saying, I'm always going to vote to keep the opt-out option in place. Depending on extraordinary circumstances within the industry and not being able to get the infrastructure to utilize. I know that not all utilities have gone to AMI yet. I don't have a list of who they are, but I know that there's some that haven't fully implemented or haven't gone to the AMI yet. So I think the clock is there's still time on the clock. Opt-out is a choice, and I think the every other month read is a step in the right direction. Start building trust, seeing how that affects the cost, that sort of thing. Because there's a cost of service for choosing this different option. There has to be, and there's going to be in other departments as well, whether it's on the water side, the broadband side. We're going to have these kind of things come up with other groups of people. We're going to question our rate structure, our fee structure, and that sort of thing. So how far out of the norm do we go? What minority is too small of a minority to ignore or to look after? So that's a tough question to answer. I know there's a lot of goodwill out there in the public saying, trust us, do this. It only takes one bad actor to ruin it for everybody. So I think this needs to be an incremental and a slower process. I don't think we're going to fix this overnight. I want the entire utility, each business line to be covering its own cost of service. And that's not realistic at the moment, just because of the history of how we got to where we are with all of our business lines. So I think it's going to be an incremental process to be certain. And, when we get to the resolution here, I think we'll probably have to do a little bit of a little more talking about what kind of costs are realistic and equitable.
All right, I guess before I go, so we're talking, and Dan brought up the low income question. We're not talking about changing the low income credit against that appears on the bills, right? People who are low income will still qualify for their current low income discount. And I don't know if Jen can share what that is on a residential customer currently.
Not off the top of my head, it's somewhere around $70.
$70. Okay, so low income people will still qualify for that. The question with this is, if low income people are also an opt-out customer, they would be subject to this additional fee, whatever we decide it is, if we pass it. Is that correct, Joe?
I'm not following the question. Could you ask?
So my point was, low income customers will still get the current credit that they're currently getting, or as we increase the low income discount, they will still get it. But if a low income customer is also an opt-out customer, they would be subject to this additional meter reading fee, correct?
Maybe I could answer the question without saying yes or no, because I'm not sure I can.
Okay, say it in your own words.
Low income. So we as a community and the state care about energy security and people being able to afford to keep their house warm and their water warm and that sort of thing. And people who have lower income have trouble doing those things. And so there are subsidies for their energy. This is a service that is not related to the delivery of energy. This is a metering selection. So staff cares very much about our community and their ability to afford their energy. This is not a question of energy.
Okay. So I guess where I'm at on this is I am sensitive to the comments that have been made about pulling out some customers and looking at them really hardly and doing a cost of service study. And I agree, it's kind of a small number of customers and it's a small amount of money. I don't think it's the highest priority of the PUD. However, we've done this work. I think it's better to finish whatever it is and get some resolution and move on. So what I'm going to propose, and back when this was first brought to our attention, Mike put up a couple of slides, and I'm looking right now at the Excel spreadsheet from that slide. And it basically showed the math of how we got to the $15 per month. And the total cost was $28.30 a month. And then, as Joe has summarized, staff proposed every other month meter reads, cut that in half and rounded up to $15 a month. And if you take, where did that $28 come from? $16.37 came from meter reading, $4.32 came from customer service. And again, these numbers are based upon staff time that's currently going into reading the meters. So these are real staff costs. Then there was a number that was $8.91 in overhead. And my understanding is that number comes from anytime we budget and we look at a cost, we then assign an A&G overhead to it as a percentage of the amount of the budget it is and how much of our budget is A&G overhead. And I propose we take that out, that $8.91 out. And then continuing on, there was a $3 credit and $1.70 in taxes that was applied to the whole thing. So when I did the math and I backed out the $8.91 and then I redid the tax, the reduced tax on the lower amount, it basically came to $11. And we can discuss what those actual numbers are, but I guess that's what I would propose. I wish we didn't have to increase the number at all, because all these customers are paying a base fee, which presumably is paying for the cost of our meter reading. But I also recognize that these folks don't want our standard meter readers, and that does cause some additional staff costs. So I propose we pull out the A&G overhead number out of that spreadsheet. That includes things like commissioner's time and everybody else's time. And I just don't think we should do that. I think we should do the direct costs of the meter reading, the customer service plus the tax. And by my math, that came to $11 on an every other month basis, or around $22 if we did it every month. That's my proposal.
So what about the low income, Jeff? Do we still want to do something different on the low income side of the $11 or not?
Well-
Or are we able to? I guess, are we able to do anything is the second question.
I mean, we could, Joe's making the argument that this is not a low income issue. This is not an energy usage issue. This is a customer preference issue, and that it shouldn't apply. I think we could ask Joel. Joel, if we wanted to waive this for low income, could we waive it for low income customers?
How much discretion do we have?
Yes. You can waive the fee as long as it's low income, you can waive that fee.
So I would say, Dan, I'd say make any comments you have, and when it comes time, when we're putting together a motion of what we want to do, you could propose, hey, I propose we waive it.
Well, I think that everybody needs to have skin in the game if they're going to look for preferential. I hate to use the term preferential, but it's an option. This is something people choose to do. I would just throw $5 fee out there for low income, since that's less than half of what we are going to be charging the other people. So
Okay.
that way everybody has got skin in the game.
Well, let me ask you this: Are you inclined to support my
I am.
provision of pull out the A&G number?
Yeah, I'm fine with doing that. Like I said, I think as time progresses and things change, we're going to end up revisiting this, and it's set right in the motion that, we're going to be subject to review by the commissioners from time to time to evaluate effectiveness, operations, costs, et cetera. So we got another budget cycle next summer. We'll see where we wind up, but with whatever resolution we come up with tonight, and we'll go through this process. Much to staff's chagrin, we'll go through this exercise again.
So
Ken,
Jeff,
what are your thoughts?
What was the figure that you came up with through your?
Yeah, so let me do the math real quick. So it's 1637. Hold on, I got to get my calculator out here. Mike could probably do this way faster than me. So $16.37. This is based on an every month read, is for meter reading, plus $4.32 is the customer service time, which comes to $20.69. And then you have to apply the tax. And before I did this, I calculated the tax, and it was a small amount. But when I divide that by 2, it's $10.34. But when you added the tax, it was closer to $11. It was under $11. Is that enough numbers for you?
Yes.
Okay. That's without the $8.91 for the.
Go ahead,
I
Ken.
would like to propose a slight variation on that.
Okay.
Because I think the A&G overhead isn't simply nothing. So I'd be happy. Well, I don't know that I'd be happy, but I could certainly live with $12 a month for anybody who's not low income, and a $5 charge, as Dan was suggesting, for the low income.
Okay. I would be okay with that also. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I think that's, at this point, as good as we're going to get. I'm an opt-out meter person myself, and I'm not looking at this through any prism of my own. I'm looking at this in the greater scheme of things. I think as we progress through this every other month read, we'll get more data, we'll get more information. Maybe we go to quarterly reads, maybe we do go to the pictures down the road. I think this is a good first step. I'd like to put it to bed forever, but I don't see that being realistic at the moment. So I think this is a good first step. We'll see how things track through July or June, whatever we end up with the date on when we'll revisit this. But I think it's going to be a progression, and maybe it ends up being more, maybe it ends up being less. I think we just collect some data and we move forward and see how it plays out.
And Joe, just a clarification. So is staff currently doing the every other month reads now just to save money, and the proposal was to implement the new charge beginning July 1st? Do I have that correct?
My understanding is staff is not doing anything different pending commissioner decision. So we're doing business as usual, waiting for this decision to come forward.
Okay, was it the intent to start doing every other month reads soon to save money or what? Because I remember you told me that privately at one point. I thought you did anyway.
I did tell you that, and that is the intent to essentially reduce the bleeding as soon as possible by starting to do the estimated reads.
But that hasn't happened yet.
That's correct.
So if we revise this resolution tonight, as we discussed, and we passed it, when would you start doing every other month reads? Are you able to determine that at this point?
Jennifer thinks we can pivot so quickly as in November reads. So
Okay.
our staff's ability to be dynamic. So that sounds pretty aggressive to me, but sounds good.
Okay, so we have a resolution in front of us. I'm just scanning it really quickly. I'm wondering if we should add a whereas regarding the low income so that there is a basis for the reduced low income charge. Joel, is that something you could draft, whereas we value our low income customer, I don't know, just something appropriate that recognizes the low income and having a
Yes,
reduced
that
income
makes sense.
by that.
Sense to me just to have a factual finding that we.
And
have.
then
Yes.
So we'd be scratching out the current low income bullet.
where is that? Oh, the
It's
low
number
income.
3.
Correct. Yeah, so I think that would be the yeah, so I think you'd probably take that and move it and make it underneath 4. I won't be the one doing this. You guys will revise it, but you'd probably strike that. And what I would propose is we make the monthly fee for participation in the opt-out program shall be $12, and then add a sentence for those qualifying for the low-income program, the fee shall be $5. Basically, make it appropriate language, but I think that's the intent. And I guess that's my motion on how to revise this resolution. And I guess I would also propose that it come back on the consent agenda at the next meeting if other commissioners support my motion.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
So
Yeah.
that's my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so the motion is to revise the resolution to recognize the fee be changed to $12 and a low income fee reduced to $5, add a whereas, and bring it back on the consent agenda. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of any further discussion?
Just one quick do we need to change 1 under I or 1 and 2? Do the months need to change there? Is that accurate the way it is?
As far as I know, it's accurate. Is that
Okay.
accurate for staff?
To keep that way regardless of when it's approved.
Okay, and then I'm fine with leaving option 2 on the net meters the way it is.
Yeah, we don't have any information that suggests that we can do it differently at this point. I may still keep poking and asking, but I'm okay with that as it is for now.
Other utilities have a similar policy, Jeff.
Yeah, I understand that. So I'll call the question on myself. All in favor of the resolution being modified as indicated and placed on the consent agenda for the next regular business meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay. I want to thank everybody for your comments. This is a living PUD. Our work is never done, and we'll keep revising things, and we appreciate your attentiveness and your care and concern on this issue and your feedback. It is valued. Okay, back to the agenda. Give me a second to get back to the top. And thank you everybody for dealing with my math on the fly. I apologize for not being able to put something in front of you, but that was something we were presented with earlier. Okay, we're at to new business, tree trimming. Joe?
Staff would like to recommend that we change the approach that we're using right now for tree trimming to provide certainty and consistency to our tree trimming partners to have crews in our service territory working over a longer period of time. So instead of our past practice over the last few years has been to piecemeal out jobs and get specific tree trimming bids for those, which we will continue to do on a as needed basis. But this is to change the characterization of the way that we engage our tree trimming crews over a longer period of time. So we're recommending this motion to achieve that.
Yeah, it seems like a great idea, a chance to get, more consistent attention and longer relationship with contractors. Do we have any commissioner questions on this one? Do we have any public comments on this item? Not seeing any hands. Go ahead, Ken.
I'll make a motion to authorize the general manager to issue pre-bid documents for a 2-year vegetation management dock crew contract as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion to second. All in favor of approving the authorization for the pre-bid documents for a 2-year vegetation management dock, please indicate.
Yeah, whoa.
If appears to be a non-timely question, so I guess.
So
Okay.
we take the vote.
We
There is
Oh, wait.
discussion because we have a hand up.
have motion and a second and a hand up.
Correct.
Is that Roger?
It's Roger.
Wait, you're unmuted, Roger. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. I think this is a great idea.
Thanks for your support, Roger. Okay, motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Oh, okay, that's the same hand. Please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, cool. Next item is the Marrowstone Island Tree Trimming Project pre-bid authorization.
So this
Joe.
is also a tree trimming effort, and this is a specific zone that we're asking for specific bidders to work on. So obviously the existing one at 9.1, those crews are going to be working in other areas of our service territory. However, in this resolution, we need tree trimming to get ready for other construction projects that we have in the vicinity. So we recommend.
Okay. Any
And I,
commissioner question?
yeah, and I didn't get a chance to review that, unfortunately. I was on the road too. So is this going to be on the 25 budget or on the 26 budget? This tree trimming on Marrowstone? What?
I believe it's mostly on 2025.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Can I hear a motion?
So I move to authorize the general manager to issue pre-bid documents for the State Route 116 Marrowstone Island Tree Trimming Project as presented.
Do we have a
I'll
second? Okay, motion and a second. No further discussion. Don't see any hands up. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. That one is approved. Coil water main replacement pre-bid authorization.
Okay, so our policy requires that when projects exceed $250,000, that before we go out to bid, we, as staff, assert that we can afford to do the project and get the commissioner's concurrence that we can proceed with the bidding process. So the estimated cost of this project, the engineer's estimate has gone up a bit since we first posted this, and it's now $2.782 million, but we still believe that we have the budget and recommend to commissioners to allow us to go out to the bidding process.
And then the follow-up on this will be, we'll go out to bid, we'll get bid responses, then you'll come to us, and can you remind us of the next steps after that, how it normally goes?
So in our,
Bid-
yeah,
bid
our,
award, right?
we advertise the invitation to bid, and we evaluate the bids, and there's a scoring matrix that staff evaluates, and then they bring the lowest evaluated bid back to the commissioners and request the commissioners to award the bid.
Okay. And is there, and this is the coil, right?
We have funding secured already, correct? Or a portion of funding?
Yes, Jose is indicating the answer, Dan, is affirmative, that we have funding. And Ken has a question as well.
Go ahead, Ken.
Will this complete the coil project of replacing all of that leaky water main?
Yes, sir.
That was my question.
Complete could be subjective term. I mean, is this the entire system or just part of the system?
This will bring the existing system up to our current specifications. It does not exist in that state currently. Is that correct, Jose?
Okay.
We're not saying there's never going to be, sorry, Jeff, we're not saying there's never going to be a leak. This is just not our specified mains, and we're going to bring it up to current, and we should have a similar experience and performance as we do in other parts of our system as a result of that.
This has been a long time known deficiency, and this is the long-term fix, it sounds like.
So I'll make the motion to authorize the general manager to issue pre-bid documents for the coil water line replacement construction project as presented.
Okay. Motion is second. Don't see any hands for further discussion. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Good job, everybody, on this one. $2.6 million going to fix the coil. Hallelujah. Next, give me just a second. Looking at the memo on that one. Okay. We have tree trimming Chimicum substation to Quilcene substation.
So yes, there's quite a bit of tree trimming on our agenda tonight. We have some catch up to do. So this is a specific bid for a specific part of our service territory that is needing special attention on tree trimming. So this is another tree trimming bid in the specific area between Chimicum and Quilcene, which happens to be one of our areas of our system that experiences a significantly higher than normal tree contact incidents.
And Joe, would you say, and this is one that's between the substations, correct? Or this is the feeding of the substations?
This is intended to treat the larger feeder conductor, the three-phase circuit between Chimicum and Quilcene.
Okay. Do we have any commissioner questions on this one?
I'll move to
Go
authorize
ahead.
the general manager to go into contract with Xylem One LLC for the tree trimming Chimicum substation to Quilcene substation project. Bid number 25ELE0803.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion or comments? Not seeing any. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Good job on that one. And
Thank you, Commissioners. I think our customers will appreciate the improvement in reliability, and Mike is going to take up 9.5.
well, and Joe, you identified a while back that this was a really significant concern for you in looking at our utility, looking at the state of frequency of tree trimming and the vulnerability it exposes us to on reliability and safety and outages and so forth. And I just want to commend you on moving quickly to get the, helping. I'm sure these things may have been in motion already, but I'm sensing that things happening much more quickly now that you've been on the job for a little while. So I appreciate your attention. All right, Mike, auditor selection.
Hang on. Yeah, I got it.
Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I want to weigh in real quick, Jeff. I hear it a lot at different places we go at the fairs and different events that we're at, about how great a job we do. One of the things that always comes up is more tree trimming. So I just wanted to, say it's on our radar. It's in the budgets, the rate increases. These are the kind of things we're looking at, how to do a better job. Joe's identifying a lot of more finite areas that we need to deal with this. So I just wanted the public to know that, this is a newer path forward for us. We are going to become a lot more aggressive, and that does amount to dollars. So that's part of where your rate increases are going on the electric side, is for this reliability. So Just be mindful of that when you see the crews out there, that's why they're out there, is to make sure that the lights stay on.
And sorry, I didn't see your hand up, Dan. I was looking at the agenda.
Balancing factor, I mean, how much does it cost to send a crew out in the middle of the night when it's raining to repair a downed line?
And what's the lost revenue per day when that's going on? You know, when the power's out. Exactly. Okay. We ready for Mike?
Yeah.
All right.
So-
Mike, you're our cleanup hitter. Take it away.
So just coming forward, we're required to have our financials audited every year for loan covenants by March 31st. We're just coming forward requesting that the board approve us to use BSGM, continue using BSGM. We went out for proposals. We got 4 back. BSGM scored the highest out of the 4. So we're just looking for a motion to authorize us to continue using BSGM. We started using them about 3 years ago, kind of on a whim, as we lost an auditor at last minute notice. They've come in, they've done a really great job, and they've been very responsive over that time. This gives us a 3-year commitment with them, with 3 1-year extensions if we so choose, and either party can choose to whether do those or not do those. So we're just looking for the board to approve a motion authorizing BSGM as our financial auditors.
Okay, thanks, Mike. And I'm glad that you're getting more responses now for auditors, so we have options. That's really good news. All right, Commissioner questions or ready for a motion?
I will make the motion to authorize our general manager to enter into a contract with BSGM for financial auditing services as presented.
Okay, motion. Do we have a second?
Nope.
Oh, I'll second it, and we need to unmute Dan. You probably muted yourself. That happened to me earlier. You can't unmute yourself once you mute yourself. All right, I made the second on that one. Any further discussion? Not seeing any hands. All in favor of the motion to approve the auditors, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay. We have reached the end of our agenda. It is 5:32. I want to thank everybody for the very productive meeting tonight and on some difficult stuff and some other good things. And it's 5:32. We stand adjourned. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.